to welcome everyone back to another episode with another interview with the Buffalo History Channel. Now, this is going to be a very different type of an interview because we're going to be talking about what's going on in Rochester. So there'll be times that not only will we talk about what's going on in Buffalo, but we'll talk about what's going on in other areas of the Western New York region as well. And I do believe that this is a very, very important story because it involves a very significant figure, not just in African-American history, but also in American history in general. We're talking about the legendary Frederick Douglass. And I'm happy to be joined by my fraternity brother of APhi Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, Reverend Julius D. Jackson Jr. Julius, welcome to the Buffalo History Channel.
Thank you, my brother. How are you?
I'm doing good, brother. Just trying to maintain in the midst of all this current madness going on in our world today.
Yes. That's all we can do is maintain, stay prayerful.
Absolutely, my brother. So you're part of the Frederick Douglass Initiative. Talk to our audience about what the Frederick Douglass initiatives that are going on in Rochester and how you got involved with it.
Okay. Well, initially, it started from a vision I received after one of the initiatives of our fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity. I was part of the fundraising here locally in Rochester. Well, actually, it's a tri-city area, Syracuse, Rochester, and Buffalo, for funding for that memorial that we broke ground on back in 2006.
Yes.
At the groundbreaking, Andrew Young, it personally inspired me, our frat brother, Andrew Young. He had stated that we were turning the dirt for Martin Luther King. That inspired me to come back home, man. And, Frederick Douglass, the average person walking down the street, well, back then, did not even know that Frederick Douglass was buried in Rochester. So it's like, okay, something has to be done here. So first off, I told my story about the fundraising for Alpha Phi Alpha and my inspiration to do something for Frederick Douglass here. So I mentioned, naming the airport was just a start, and they published that in one of the local African-American magazines here and quoted me as stating the first time the Greater Rochester, or Frederick Douglass Greater Rochester International Airport. That is in print in black and white. Couple of years later, or I should say 1 year after that, I invited Reverend Dr. Emmett Burns here to Rochester. I don't know if you know this or not, but he was the one who named the BWI airport for Thurgood Marshall.
Oh, okay.
So he came to Rochester and, inspired us, but folks were still a little slow to get on board with it. But that has been maintained as a vision of mine since, again, 2006. But in the meantime, we had the Frederick Douglass Memorial, a statue of Frederick Douglass that stood here in Highland Park, and it stood here in Rochester for over 200 years, man, right after Frederick Douglass passed. A member of Eureka Lodge, which I'm also a member of, my predecessor, John W. Thompson. He had the vision for a statue to the colored troops. There's a big statue to Abraham Lincoln that stands downtown in Rochester, but there's no representation of anyone of color at that statue. So he had the thought to do a monument to the colored troops. In the meantime, he had communicated with Frederick Douglass, and Frederick Douglass was fully behind it. But before that statue could be established, Frederick Douglass died. And of course, the agenda changed. So the monument to the colored troops became a monument to Frederick Douglass. That statue stood in downtown Rochester till 1941, when they had the groundbreaking for that and the dedication. Roosevelt was here, Roosevelt, president, famous in Buffalo, and what have you. But he was here for that. And that statue again stood in downtown Rochester until 1941, when it was moved to the park. Fast forward till last year, that statue stood unilluminated. Back in 2008, I'm sorry, 2008 was when we had the first Frederick Douglass light up. I invited all the children around town to come up and hold up their flashlights to represent the fact that the statue needed to be illuminated. They came out, and it's been carrying on. We've been doing a yearly event to demonstrate that needed to be illuminated. Last year, or now it's been 2 years, excuse me, in 2018, that was the 200th anniversary birthday of Frederick Douglass. All sorts of celebrations went on in town here, and they finally decided it was time to illuminate it. But they not only illuminated it, they moved it to a place which is now called the Frederick Douglass Memorial Plaza. And
Right,
it's
I've heard about
a
that.
prominent place right there at the corner of South Avenue and Robinson Drive, about a 15-minute walk from Frederick Douglass's grave. It's very prominent. It's basically stopping traffic now.
Wow, okay,
Those
that's
who never
well,
knew that the statue existed are pausing to take notice now. And the other dream, the original dream, that a petition was just started recently, and that sparked, and the Monroe County legislature approved it unanimously to rename our airport the Frederick Douglass Greater Rochester International Airport. So two initiatives, man, have sparked, and Frederick Douglass is
successful
getting
initiatives.
yeah. So Frederick Douglass is getting his just due now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's it in a nutshell there, but you know.
Yeah, I know there's a Frederick Douglass house out here in I think it's in Washington D.C., somewhere near Anacostia.
Right, exactly. That's the museum, and they take credit for being it with Frederick Douglass. I mean, he was there, when
Yeah.
he passed, but he has always expressed a love for Rochester.
Yep.
The reason he left Rochester was because his house was burned, and the house is right across, or the place where the house was is right across the street from where the statue remains right now.
Okay.
So,
Now I did hear.
Go ahead.
Now I did hear a story recently that you had a replica of the statue
Yes.
been removed or stolen or vandalized. What was the situation around that?
During the 200th anniversary, there were a lot of celebrations going on, and local artist here, Olivia Kim, was commissioned to create 13 fiberglass replicas of the Douglass statue or the Douglass monument in life-size fiberglass replicas. So 13 of those are around town, each one standing at a significant location to the history of Frederick Douglass. For example, there's one in the Mount Hope Cemetery where he is buried. And there are others, one at the original placement of the monument downtown. So you know where exactly that was, the place where his daughter went to school. She was one of the first to integrate one of the schools here in Rochester, and there's a statue there. And that statue was the one that was vandalized, the first one that was vandalized. This was a year ago as well. That one was repaired. We had a restorative justice for the vandals which were caught. And those vandals, they made restitution and what have you, and were actually present for the second statue which was vandalized July 5th of this year, ironically on the same date as Douglass's famous "What to the Slave is the 4th of July."
Wow, they were present, you said.
Yeah, they were present. They restored the second statue to replace the second one that was vandalized.
Okay.
So they placed that back, and that's kind of controversial as well. Some people think that they shouldn't have had that bestowed upon them to actually do that, but I think they made restitution, but it's neither here nor there on, you know, if they deserve that honor or not. You know, that's not for me to decide. I won't even go there on that. But nevertheless, they were there, and all of the statues are intact at this point.
Okay, and if someone wants to come, so can you give us the address for everything, just in case someone wants to visit Rochester, well, mainly after, either during or maybe or hopefully after this whole COVID-19 pandemic is going on, they want to get back into their travel. Where can they go to see these monuments?
There is a website which I don't recall right now for the 13.
Okay. We can post it up.
Yeah, but the monument is at the corner of South Avenue and Robinson Drive. It's open all day, and again, it's illuminated now, so you can see it at night. So 24 hours a day, you can drive by there and see that statue, get out, take pictures, and what have you. The Frederick Douglass grave is right down the street in Mount Hope Cemetery, and that's the same thing. Everyone knows where the grave is. It's close to the fence, so you can actually see it from the street.
Yeah, I need to get down there and visit his gravesite as well.
Yeah, please do anytime. Call me. I actually work right across the street too.
Oh, that's very convenient, brother. That's very convenient.
Yeah, so call me, man, and I got you covered.
All right.
Yeah, and I'll give you the link to all the other local statues too.
Okay. Okay, so is there anything else that you'd like of importance that you'd like to tell to the audience about the monuments and the initiatives, or what's in the future for the initiatives?
Well, the future, it has been fully approved that we are going to have the Greater Rochester International Airport here in Rochester. So the next step is getting that dedication going, and then we're going to do some educational pieces in the airport as well. So that will highlight John W. Thompson and a lot of the folks who have tried to highlight Frederick Douglass for 200 years, man. Absolutely. And it's just getting done now, 200 years later. But I'm excited. So
I'm excited to hear it as well, brother.
So hopefully some of our other prominent alphas will be up here during that dedication ceremony.
I hope to be up there myself, brother.
Yeah, and again, I got to give credit to Andrew Young. He was the one who sparked the vision for me to speak it into the atmosphere for Douglass. So I'm hoping he'll be here.
Well, as Martin Luther King's monument stands tall out here in the D.C. area, so does Frederick Douglass out there in the Rochester area.
Amen, amen.
Our dear fraternity brother I know both of them are smiling down and been very proud.
That's right. Yeah, Douglass since 1921. Can't forget that.
Absolutely.
He is a true alpha.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us right here on the Buffalo History Channel.
All right. God bless you, man.
All right, brother.
06.
Absolutely. 06, brother.
All right.